Hey guys! So for video 7, I want to talk about something that people get stuck on a lot, which is what's the difference between paleo and keto. And we hear so much about both, but they're actually both really different. And they're not equal, like pick off a menu of dietary theories, like you got vegan, pescatarian, vegetarian, Mediterranean, paleo, keto. It's actually completely different things entirely. They're vehicles for different things. So paleo is very much a style of eating the same way vegan is, or Mediterranean, right? It's more about the quality of food and how that behaves in your body. But there is absolutely no macro restrictions on anything that's related to paleo. So paleo is a really great option, and I did paleo for a really long time. You can eat whatever you want, basically. The theory is if it existed 100 years ago, you can eat it now, or 200 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, right? Like actually eating food that we ourselves evolved on. So meats and high fat natural sources like avocado and olive oil and all that great stuff. Nothing that's processed, no processed foods, no refined sugar, no sodas, no chemicals, right? Everything has to be super clean and coming from the earth or from nature in some way. An animal mineral, right? Animal plant mineral. And that's the basis of paleo. And when you really focus on paleo, because you don't have dairy and you don't have grains, right? Because we actually did not evolve on those things. And they kind of wreak havoc on our systems now. So because of the way they are all processed, dairy comes with lots of not pesticides, hormones and antibiotics and all these things because of the way they mass produce dairy. And it just wreaks havoc on our system. Our bodies actually do not have the enzyme required to break down the protein in dairy. So I grew up with, had to have a cup of milk with dinner, whole thing, and we end up with a lifetime of this protein that's not very well digested, and it can really take a number on our stomach. And what happens is people get lots of allergies and rashes and all these things over time. It's really difficult to lose weight or maintain otherwise, like anti-inflammatory health. Dairy's very inflammatory. And then grains obviously are also very inflammatory. So paleo is grain-free because grains are another thing that really do a number on our gut lining, and we want to keep our gut lining really, really strong. So when I was nutrition coaching, I'd get so much resistance when I would tell people to restrict dairy and gluten because they're like, well, I was never allergic to it before. And that's like, it doesn't matter. Your stomach lining is something that's always evolving and something that is always dealing with what you're putting into it 24/7 all the time. So grains, if you've been eating grains your entire life and all of a sudden you're having a problem, it's just because your stomach is like, I'm done with you. It's been 30 years or 40 years of grains and I can't handle it anymore, and they need a break. So grains themselves, they can poke holes in the gut lining. Gluten is also really, really difficult to digest, similar to casein, like I just described. The gluten, the bread and the grains that we eat now is absolutely not at all what it was 100 years ago. There's way more gluten protein in the grains in the wheat crop that we grow now, and that's why all of a sudden people have so many sensitivities. So the philosophies of paleo are dairy-free, grain-free, and then basically everything else that's completely unprocessed. There's absolutely no macro biotic or macronutrient restrictions. It can be as much carb or protein or fat as you want, and you're still considered paleo. So that's great, but also, just like every other dietary theory, there's a way that people can do it badly, right? So if you're vegan, technically eating Oreos is still vegan, or you can be eating potato chips all day and be vegan, right? You can do the same thing with paleo. People can eat 4 sweet potatoes a day and just totally load up on that carb and still technically be paleo. You can have, mango, one of our favorite, not junk food, this is not junk food, but it's a high sugar food, is dried mango. My husband and I go nuts. A bag of dried mango lasts like 3 minutes in our house. I can't really have it anymore on keto, but absolutely, you could just sit and eat that all day. You could eat pistachio nuts, peanuts, peanut butter, and dried mango all day long and still be paleo, right? So that is an eating philosophy that's based on the quality of food. Unprocessed, dairy-free, grain-free are the basic pillars of paleo. Now, switching into ketosis. Ketosis, you know, is much more involved and very much based on macronutrients. Ketosis is a metabolic state of the body. Okay, that's actually describing something that's happening in your system. That's not paleo. Paleo is just a description of a way to eat. Ketosis is actually what happens to your body when you starve all of the carbohydrate out of your system and out of your liver in the form of glycogen, and your body switches into ketosis using your fat stores instead. Okay, so it's much, much different, but same deal. And you see this all over the internet, which is why I was so inspired to do holistically keto, is because I want people to realize that keto is an amazing metabolic state, but also you have a lot of parts of your body to take care of, rebuilding cells, detoxing cells, and you need to have a nutrient-dense keto experience. You need to eat salads and not just function off of, you can't just function off butter. You need a lot of other things that are natural sources of vitamins and minerals and omega-3s and all of these things. So that's why we're here doing holistic keto. So that said, why do I basically do both? I do both paleo and keto, and I follow a diet similar, like I like to follow, this is a really great book that I have, Keto Paleo, and it's just all recipes of, you know, obviously grain-free, because you can't really do grains on keto anyway, but I mostly do dairy. Every once in a while I'll have some dairy. I had some dairy yesterday. It was a nice little break. I hadn't had some in a long time. Very, very rarely do dairy. In the beginning of my keto experience, I did, because cheese is such a convenient snack. It sits in the fridge, it's low carb, it just sits there, it's like waiting for you. And so it really let me like graze, meaning like, oh, I think I'm hungry, let me just go eat a piece of cheese, there's no carbs in it. But then I was eating a lot more dairy than I should. So that's why I was like, you know what, to really take care of yourself, you need to get back into a paleo style of keto. So a lot of things that are in here use things like almond flour and coconut flour, and eggs are fair game, and just lots of herbs and lettuces and low carb veggies. But you can do lots of stuff with a paleo style keto diet. And so that's definitely the most anti-inflammatory that you can get, especially if you're focusing on inflammation, and especially if you're focusing on weight loss. I'm focusing on both, obviously, because I have PCOS. PCOS is very much tied to inflammation, as are most of our chronic illnesses. So by going lower inflammation, my body really does let go of weight a lot easier. So I like to focus on things like, look at this, cashew crusted salmon with ponzu sauce. Yes, please. 100%, I will totally take that. So there are a lot of paleo keto recipes on the internet. I recommend you try to focus on that, and that's really what the theme of my holistically keto approach and philosophy is about, because keto is a metabolic state and paleo is a style of eating that is anti-inflammatory and very nutrient dense, and that's kind of the philosophy that I want to adopt here at Holistically Keto. So let me know what you think. And thank you so much for joining. All of the conversations that we're having are happening in the Holistically Keto Facebook group. So if you're not already in here, make sure you join. And yeah, thank you for everyone's engagement. It's been really fun so far doing all the videos. And make sure, I've got a list of questions already from folks of topics you want me to cover. And let me know if there's anything you're dying to know. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.